haven't checked.
It's pretty nice about 11 o'clock. Sun's shining bright.
I don't know, I was trapped inside working.
More water than we should have. Yes, we have. Because of the repairs and stuff. Repairs and water leaks beginning of the year.
Did you see yourself in the paper?
So this is
I
an
did see
annual
yourself
bill?
in the paper.
I don't know if that's annual or not, I haven't looked at that yet, but I know that.
Everything going
I know
good.
that we contract.
Grandbaby that's
we
coming?
deliver it
Yeah,
legally.
they're staying at our house this week because they moved this weekend. Yeah. Mhm. They'll be here then.
We got 1 minute to D-Day.
No, there's a couple of get reimbursed, trash truck bills in there.
It's 7 o'clock. I call this meeting to order. Invocation. Say prayer. Anybody want to volunteer? Peggy, would you like to say a prayer?
Our dear good Father, we just thank you for the opportunity that we have to serve in this capacity, and we just ask that you give those that are making decisions tonight guidance and wisdom and the things that are decided. Just ask that your blessing on this meeting and the words that are said. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's like a church.
No, I can see that.
Ms. Margaret, reading of the minutes.
November 14th, the Board of Aldermen met in regular session with Mayor Hunault presiding. Aldermen present, Renee Edwards, Ron Stansberry, Rick Winter, Dot Kirksizer, Delmer Strange, Ryan Mason. Absent none. Mayor Hunault called the meeting to order and gave the invocation. The Pledge of Allegiance was recited. Minutes of the October 10th meeting were read and approved. Collectors and treasurer's reports were given. Peggy Collins, City Treasurer, met with the board. She reported that the city will be paying all employees on an hourly basis to comply with the FLSA ruling regarding overtime, which will be effective December 1st. Peggy also reported that $6,000 has been transferred from the general fund to the special light fund. The budget allowed for a transfer of $10,000 due to the shortage of income needed to pay for the street lights. Motion was made by Rick Winter and seconded by Delmer Strange to pay all bills as presented. Motion carried unanimously. Mark Bross of Klingner and Associates met with the board and gave an update on the sewer project. He said the contractor will continue to work on the manholes until the placement of the lids satisfies MoDOT and the city. Motion was made by Delmer Strange and seconded by Renee Edwards to approve the Keokuk contractor's change order number 9, which increases their contract $5,268. Motion carried unanimously. This will allow the replacement of breakers and starters for the wastewater treatment plant lift station pumps. Motion was made by Ryan Mason and seconded by Rick Winter to approve the Keokuk contractor's change order number 10, which increases their contract $58,972. Motion carried unanimously. This will allow the addition of a 92 kilowatt natural gas LP generator and transfer switch at the wastewater treatment plant. Ross also reported there will be a meeting with the contractor before the Purcell Street sewer project begins. He will contact the city a week prior to this meeting. Ty Parrish, utility supervisor, met with the board. He reported that the possible water leak south of the ambulance district office that was a concern at the October meeting was checked into and has been taken care of. Ty also informed the board that in recent months there's been a hole along the right-of-way near Casey's General Store. He said that the water from the southwest corner of the courtyard drains west towards the four-way stop. Ty reported that he and his crew have put a camera in the grates near Casey's and checked the flow of water in that area, and there appears to be an issue with some of the old culverts. He said it has been brought to his attention that this maintenance will be the city's responsibility rather than the state, and a project of this type will require assistance from the city's engineer. Mike Wright, wastewater superintendent, met with the board. He reported that he recently attended the Missouri Rural Water Association conference at Lake Ozark. He also reported that he will be obtaining some budget figures for a lawnmower for the wastewater plant and ballpark. Unfinished business, there was none. Under new business, the following action was taken on applications for building permits. Motion was made by Renee Edwards and seconded by Dot Cricksizer to approve the application submitted by Stacy Baird to build a garage 17 by 35 foot at 106 South Wilson Street. Motion carried unanimously. Motion was made by Ron Stansberry and seconded by Rick Winter to approve the application submitted by Ralph Miller to build a garage 24 by 40 foot at 506 East Morgan Street. Motion carried unanimously. The general municipal election will be Tuesday, April 4th, 2017. Motion was made by Ron Stansberry and seconded by Renee Edwards to set the filing for Tuesday, December 13th at 8 a.m. to Tuesday, January 17th at 5 p.m. The offices to be filled are one alderman for each of the 3 wards. Motion was made by Ron Stansberry and seconded by Dot Cricksizer to adjourn. Motion carried and the meeting was adjourned.
That's without amendment. Is there any other question? Amendments? Moving on. The collector's report.
Collections for November. Water, $22,267.31. Sewer, $23,825.56. Sanitation, $15,604.73. General fund, $19,635.10. Recreation, $291.20. Street, $1,244.64. Special lights, $2,724.40. Meter deposit, $680. For a total collected of $86,272.94. There were no shut-offs this month either, so.
Anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Moving on. We need treasurer's report. Hi, Miss Debbie.
We'll start with the treasurer's report. Everything's pretty routine unless you have questions on it. we can- down through them. The ones that were significant, most of them aren't that big a deal. But if you go down to the water and sewer fund, you notice we're quite a bit over on our water usage than what we budgeted or what we spent in the past. And the other one that's over in that is the repair and maintenance. However, some expenses went into there from the sewer project and then we were reimbursed from them. So then we've got the revenue that's offsetting that in that fund. And sanitation fund, our health insurance was quite a bit more than I had anticipated.
They're gonna take another jump.
The health insurance, we won't know until it renews in May. Margaret called for me because, of course, the news was reporting an average of 23% increase on health insurance
Right.
premiums. And so I kind of wanted to know, and they're expecting about 10%.
That's better than 23.
Well, it is, it's still a lot, but it is better. So that's what we budgeted moving forward, is 10%. Excuse me. So unless you have some specific questions on those,
The water usage has gotta be related to the work that we had done this year,
Part of it.
or a lot of it.
And then we had that leak that we found and fixed. But a lot of it would be associated with the project.
Okay.
But that was just what you had budgeted, right? I mean, it's not like it's
yeah, but
Once you go over your
it was based on prior,
usage.
yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's something we need to be watching.
We budgeted so much and then we left a cap, didn't we? Isn't there some leeway there?
I went over about 3% from what we used in the past when I budgeted last year, so, that's a pretty good increase.
Yeah. With all the work we've had done.
Right, so I think it's something we probably just need to be watching, because if it continues,
Or is it?
yeah. And I hate
We
to,
just lowered it, didn't we?
I hate to see that, so. We're okay right now, but that's where things are at. So,
Any questions? Other questions? Well, let's get them to give me a thing.
To make these changes, is that, we need to make a motion? Is that- So moved. Make the amendments to the 2016 budget.
I'll second that.
We'll take a roll call vote. On that.
I don't have any roll call vote to amend it.
All in favor? Unanimous.
okay, now for the fun part. We went in quite a bit of detail last year, so I'm gonna kinda leave it up to you. We can do that this year, or I can kinda summarize where the changes are. And we can abbreviate it some, and then if you have questions, we can do that. There's a lot of detailing here. I'm more than willing to go into it to what extent you want to.
Let's do the, we don't know where sliders,
Okay?
Shorter version.
the shorter version. If we have
Okay,
questions, then
so
we
let
can
me
back up.
highlight changes of things that are different, and then if you want to develop further from that, you can. One of them, Ron has already brought up, the health insurance, we're anticipating a 10% increase. If you want to turn to page 2, the capital outlay section. These are the things that have been requested, and as before, they're in the budget, but the actual approval is still based on council approval because these are your major items. So just approving the budget doesn't approve those purchases. Does that make sense? So in the operating fund, the police department, we have, they have computers that they got used 7 years ago, which are outdated. So they've got computers, a radar gun, and a breathalyzer down on their list of things that they would like. In the regular supplies, we've also had a few things they've required that are under supplies that we've increased the budget for. And we've increased the budget on training with some of the things that they have in the plan for training. Part of that being they'll all have to be certified on the radar gun. So, those things. Our capital improvement fund is the fund that we use for our other money funds for bigger purchases. And so the items that we have under the capital improvement this year, and those of you that want to, I'm sure, can go back and look at what they're talking about.
The
But
floor in the garage where we park our new truck is not satisfactory. It's pretty weak and spongy.
yes, and it's not, the door doesn't seal, so then you're losing a lot of energy. So we don't have bids on that, we're just doing a ballpark, so that's something, you know, if you're gonna go with, we'll have to seek bids and adjust accordingly. We had talked with Ty about, you know, this is the fund like the streets would use for things that they're gonna be doing for our street maintenance, and so we were talking about some of the priorities because we didn't have anything else going on in this fund this year to kind of keep things so everything doesn't go at once and have to be replaced. So we talked about a used truck to replace the 97
Yep.
Ty?
Yes.
And he's just kind of estimating there the 20,000. And you said there would be a difference in miles per gallon.
I didn't catch what you said.
Okay. I didn't figure you could because I speak.
That's okay.
I said you figure there'll probably be a difference in the fuel usage.
Oh, it would help. I mean, our
Some.
Earl Ford truck's pretty crude. It's got a little 460 in it. It'll be 20 years old this next year. I mean, miles-wise, we don't put many miles on one. You know, it's only got 80-some thousand on it, but it's getting to where it's starting to cause some problems. We've had to replace the steering column in it, and the door handles are a non-stop issue with it. It leaks antifreeze. I mean, it's 20 years old. We were looking into maybe getting like a one-ton dump bed, something like our Duramax with a dump bed for as far as like brush, or in the winter times we need to haul a little rock or some dirt. We wouldn't have to have our dump trucks tied up with it. We could, you know, a small truck would be handy to have. That's kind of what we was looking at.
Okay. And then we've also talked about the snow plow
Right, which if we got one, if it's capable, where we could put a plow on it, like I said, if we replace the Ford, be something we would look at maybe.
Okay. And then, I didn't know if you'd had a chance to check on the broom for the sweeper cost.
I haven't got any cost wise on it, like I said,
Okay.
that's an estimate on it. We have to replace the bristles on our street sweeper. It's just about wore down to the shaft,
Okay,
so, something we'll probably have to get done.
okay.
Is that for the skid steer?
Yeah,
Or for the-
yeah.
So, with all of these things that we're budgeting in the capital improvement fund, it's still less than what our revenue is coming in that fund, so we're still continuing to build balances in that fund for other things. But I like to see us do something in that fund every year, so that we don't have a big fall in 1 year. Thanks, Ty.
Yep.
The water, the work on the water tower, we've had 2 bids, Margaret, come in.
Two, yeah, and of course, we didn't ask for specific actual bids, but
Right.
for budget figures.
Right.
And they were both,
Hi.
yeah.
So, I hit the midpoint, I think, because some of them went up as high as 54,000,
Right, yeah.
because they
Is this
kind of
with
did a
paint?
range.
Yes, this is to do the
Clean it, seal it.
outside and to paint it. Ty maybe knows more about the whole
Yeah, it'd be just a cleaning and washing and then a repainting.
repainting. And it's never been painted, I mean, it was new painted to begin with. It's 20 years old and has never been actually painted. It's only been cleaned on the outside.
We could expect a 20-year life term out of it's what I'm gathering.
Is it, when we talked last time, this comes with a coat of some kind of seal over the paint? Or is
My
it,
understanding, the paint, it's a
it has the
sort
seal
of
in
base
it?
paint that's supposed to help with that. Now,
With
like I said,
that.
we didn't get into detail on it, we just basically gave them, those are what they call their budget pricing, like I said, until you put it out to bid to really, those are just, you give them the dimensions and they give you a rough idea, they don't actually come visually look at it, but to wash and repaint, that's what they gave us.
That does mean inside this time, doesn't it, Ty?
No, that's the outside only,
I think isn't it time for the inside to be done though?
No.
the inside don't look bad.
Okay.
Right, but every 5 years it has to be inspected
Well,
by
the diving
by
part, not on
regulations,
the-
you're right.
Diving.
I mean,
But
every,
not on, I'm talking on the painting though, that's.
right, but every 5 years it has to be inspected and we have to have that documented for DNR. when they
So
go.
where we at on that, about another year then or so?
I don't remember, I know we had
It's
it,
been 3 years since we did it.
Yeah, by the time we do it's gonna be 4, so it'll be another year.
Yeah.
it'll be a must next year's
Yeah.
budget
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, not in 17.
That's what I'm saying, you have to have the budget for another year.
And it doesn't
18.
cost anything like this, the divers.
$3,500 I think is the max, what,
Oh, yeah.
isn't that?
That's just for the inspection?
They come in, they clean it,
They
inspect
go in
it,
there and swim around in my drinking water?
they
Is that
vacuum
what
it
you're
out,
telling me?
inspect it and everything. Give you a videotape of everything they see.
Okay.
Now that we've made your day. And the mower that you discussed last month is there. The sewer project, it's not as high as the 200 I put in here, but I was trying to allow for overruns. Because it seems like every time we get into something, it's more than what we anticipated. So I was trying to do that. Sanitation, adding 2 more 4-yard dumpsters, and we're due for the truck, because we rotate that, so we're due for the truck to be replaced, and it's kind of what we're anticipating is the 82 on that. Are there any of those you want to discuss further? Special Light Fund, I talked to Annette Sweet today, and she said that changing the LED bulbs is gonna be like a 3-year process, and when it's done, the savings will only be about 10%. Of course, she can give a lot more detail than that when she comes, but that's kind of what she's telling us. She said the city does own the downtown lighting, and we would save $4 because those are metered if we replaced those. And she said replacing them is expensive, it's about $300 per fixture. And I don't know how many fixtures we have,
There's a lot.
Yes, I don't.
30, 25?
I'd say somewhere between 20 and 30, yeah.
That's what she estimated, 20 to 30.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
Okay. So her recommendation is we start looking for an energy grant, maybe through natural resources, I can't get it out. Or some other places. She said she didn't know where any was available, but that we could start looking for something like that and maybe have the help with the install to make it more manageable. And then, of course, she always has good news to go along with that, and she says expect a rate increase, that it's, they're gonna have a ruling by May, and it will be 2 to 5% increase in that. And then she said also to expect less coming in from the Ameren, what she calls gross receipts, we call it the franchise tax. Because as people are implementing and businesses are implementing cost savings, energy savings in their homes, it's gonna be reducing the amount that's coming, and therefore we will be getting
How
less.
does that work when they're gonna increase rates?
I
Still
think
gonna-
they
should
pay
wash out somewhat.
5% of the receipts.
Right.
So if the businesses go in and put in cost saving fixtures and so forth, then less money is coming in and therefore less gross receipts. So she said, as people implement that, they'll not be surprised with that happening. So I don't know that we are budgeting, just with the estimates as far as what's coming in and then what our utilities are for streetlights. About $11,000 is what we're gonna need to transfer in 2017 to keep the fund where we need to keep it. Now, we did not have to transfer as much in 2016 as we had anticipated, we only did 6,000. And now that we're into collecting taxes, you know, we're good for the year, because that money will come in and we'll be okay in that fund. So it usually gets late in the year when we have to make that decision as to how much we're gonna.
So we can either figure on trying to pay for $300 fixture times 30 per fixture at $9,000, or we can just keep throwing $11,000 at it each year.
Right, right. And, you know, if that's something that, you know, as a board you want to consider, we could consider that as from the capital improvement fund. You know, make, for one time, let's get it up to date and see if it makes it. Makes enough of a difference.
Well, we can save 10%, up to 10%.
Well, she thinks the saving is more on the ones that we replace ourselves.
Right.
Because she said a number of years ago, it's been a long time, I guess, instead of renting them from Ameren, we purchased those lights.
That was, yeah, a really long time ago. Yes, so that's why we own those decorative lamps that are downtown.
And those are the ones she thought could make more savings difference than the 10%.
Are we buying these fixtures? Or are we just paying them to?
The $300
Yeah.
per fixture, we evidently already own the fixtures.
The decorative lamps downtown,
And metal poles.
not
The
the,
lights.
Aren't they the metal?
yeah, and we've
Ones
had
up around
them,
the
we've had
square.
them painted even, Dave Davison did many years ago.
I remember that.
So I assume replacing bulbs in them is our responsibility. She talked like they've been doing it.
They've been doing it, yeah,
But officially they're ours.
yeah. Right, yes, officially it's up to us.
So what's 300? Is that a light fixture, or is that just
Per fixture.
the downtown decorative, or the pole lights?
That's for the bulb to replace that with an LED
With an
bulb.
LED.
It's $300 per
In
bulb.
the fixtures that we own.
So it's just bulbs?
Correct. Yeah, the LED are expensive.
Hmm.
So, that's something we probably won't do anything about tonight, but, and that usually comes about once a year,
Yes, she does.
so, but it's still something we need to be moving towards and
We need to be thinking about it.
possibly looking towards a grant to see if there's something out there.
So, do we have to get the bulbs from them? Do
No.
they have to put the bulbs in?
No,
If you wanna service them, we better probably, hadn't we?
Why would we need them to service if we have a bucket truck?
They always took care of them before, though.
Again,
I know, I heard you.
300 bulbs, $300 a bulb.
We need to look into maybe making that cheaper.
because of the quantity they buy, I would guess they're gonna be as cost effective as any place.
They give them cheap and sell them high.
I don't know.
If I know business, that's probably the case.
I don't know.
Yeah, we can look into that.
Okay, and then one of the things that we have been discussing, outside of the meetings is sales tax. There's been some changes and Margaret has some information, so I've been trying to read through this. The city can put on the ballot so that we can get a sales tax on vehicles that are bought out of state. And also the use tax. So if somebody is, are you familiar with the use tax? Okay. It's, let's say you're in business and you buy something and you don't normally pay sales tax because you sell it back to somebody else, so then the sales tax is paid by them. But you take some of that product and you turn around and you use it in your business personally. I was trying to think of a real good example. Instead of paying sales tax, you pay use tax at 4.225 for the state, rather than whatever the rate is for wherever you're at. I think the normal sales tax for the state is, what, 6.225 or something like that?
Right, yeah, 6.225.
And so then we get a sales tax for the city, okay, but we don't get it for the use tax unless it's voted on by the people. And evidently we have never done that from the information we're looking at.
Yeah, I don't really understand the whole thing, or, why, I mean, they keep talking about it being about vehicles that are from out of state, or that you purchase from a dealer in Iowa, say.
Right. And use tax is the same way from when you buy out of state. You end up paying use tax on it instead of state sales tax if it's from delivered here. So evidently we've never done that, so the city is not getting a percentage of any use tax from anybody, is what it appears. We can put that on the ballot for the use tax. Well, there's been a court case recently where somebody challenged it on vehicles because vehicles have not been subject to that. Well, they are now subject to it, but they're gonna be paying the state, but they'll only pay the city if we put this on the ballot and get our percentage on it. So I think we need to get more information and get it clarified. But if we're gonna do this, if we don't do it soon, we won't be able to do it. There's a cutoff as to when they allow it because of the court case. So we'll probably work on that, kind of expect that next month. Because if we're gonna put it on the ballot, we wanna do it when we've got other things on the ballot, so we don't have the additional
Cost,
expense.
right, yeah.
So kind of expect that to be coming, and we'll have to see what happens. Okay. Sanitation, we've had a $2 per ton increase in landfill charge. I'd kind of like to see us have a discussion about the recycling personally, and see if we can cut down on what's going there. Especially since I'm not doing plastic and glass here. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and jump to that last page. And talk about salaries. And probably, the easiest thing to do as we do this is just go down one by one and discuss them, just so you kind of know what's going on here. The very first one, that's essentially, we did no raises for 2016. We had some serious concerns about all of the things that were going on, the expenses, and I think it just kind of got permanently paid. I think we didn't do anything. So 4,300, that essentially is a 1% increase. It's not much at all. The reserve officers, were pretty well leaving them where they're at. If you jump down to 8,900, that's amounts to a 3% increase. Number 8,000, it's not even a cost of living increase, it's just kind of rounding it up. The approach is those on the lower end are benefiting more from what we're looking at here than those on the upper end of the scale. Number 11,200. Ty has requested, well, he's lost somebody because they can get paid higher someplace else. He said he's got a good team, they're working well together. He would like to compensate them such that it's comparable to other places, so he's not losing the team that he's got put together that works well together. So that's 11,200 and 12,100. What he would like to try is, rather than replacing the one that is leaving, he would like to try to work through the winter months with the 3 employees, which would eliminate one salary and insurance, health insurance. And in exchange for that, he would like to see his people treated well. The 11,000, 1,200, he has 2 licenses